Welcome to episode 3 of the No Ego Gaming Podcast. My name's FTBiscuit, and again, I'll be your host. With me today is the third of the 4 No Ego Gaming owners. This one's going to be Rage, currently going by RageDadBod. How you doing today?
Biscuit, how are you?
I'm good. Just hanging in there. First day I had my little camping trip over the weekend, so I'm still kind of getting back into work brain.
Yeah, I'm a little jelly of that. Looked like it was a lot of fun.
It was great. It actually went better than we expected because we had gotten the forecast week before that it was going to downpour on Saturday. We're recording this right now on a Monday, by the way, just for comparison's sake. It was supposed to downpour, and then it ended up only raining for 2 hours, and the rest of the day was perfect. We were right on the beach, so it worked out nice. Well, Rage, first I want to start off really quick. Just as I mentioned, you are one of the 4 owners of No Ego. But just tell us a little about yourself and what got you into No Ego. What you do it over at No Ego as well.
What got me into No Ego was my brother. Obviously, everybody knows that Search is my brother, the CEO. Just started out with me talking to him. He's kind of just telling me what him and Matt had going and Rev, what they were building. And I told him that I would like to help in any way that I could. I just thought it was a cool idea, and I've always really supported my brother, so I figured why not hop in where I can. And I've always been really big with computers and a lot of the stuff that goes into it, so I kind of started out as just helping it out in IT. So from there, I started getting more involved. I really fell in love with the community, and I was putting everything I could into building as much stuff up as we could, and they offered me to come on as an owner, and I accepted because No Ego has a vision, and I completely agree with the vision that they have, is that we're all working towards something that's bigger than ourselves, and no one person is bigger than anybody else, and that's just something I feel strongly about.
Awesome. I mean, that reflects very similar and actually the same to what Search and Proven both said. That totally makes sense. And again, that's the reason why I signed up. That's the reason why honestly, most of the people, if not everyone here, signed up for is that exact reason.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and I've enjoyed meeting all the new people and everything. It's been great.
What's your gaming history like? What have you ever gotten into the competitive realm on anything, or were you mostly just kind of play for fun? Like, what got you into gaming in general?
Well, that's funny. So I actually, one of the big games that threw me into was also Halo.
Oh,
Me,
okay.
me and Justin were very competitive when we were both in high school, and we would go to a lot of local tournaments and played online when Xbox Live came out. We didn't really do much at the Xbox Connect for Halo 1, but that was kind of like early stages for our addiction, I guess you'd say. But when Halo 2 dropped, we were all about it. And I've always just kind of gravitated towards video games. When I was a kid, I'd spend a lot of nights at friends' house, staying up late playing Mario Kart or Mario Party, just different PlayStation and Nintendo games. And I don't know, I just always really loved video games. And I'm very versatile when it comes to video games. I play a lot of different things. I wouldn't say that I gravitate towards competitive shooters, but it is like a scratch I like to itch every now and then.
Well, same. It's like when we either have our bouts in the org with Valorant or Overwatch or Call of Duty. Just because even me, I only hop on to COD maybe one day a week, or same with Overwatch or Val, just to have that competitive. As you said, get the competitive itch going there. But I know you also, a little bit different from the other owners. Huge WoW player as well. We do have a WoW guild as well, World of Warcraft guild, and I think you and one of the other members in the org in the guild was very big with getting that started.
actually pushed the idea because I thought that the WoW community would be a good thing to bring into NoeGo. Something that we kind of can grow the org some more and just involve more diverse type of gaming. WoW is a pretty close knit community, and I think that it would be a good idea. So I started the guild for us, and we got quite a bit of people to start joining and stuff. And I think that that's really going to take off once the new expansion comes out. I think that a lot of the changes that they're making are great and needed. They've been needed for a long time. So I think that's going to draw a lot of people back. Um, but yeah, WoW has been a big part of my life for many years. I started playing in 2006 when I first went to college. It's probably one of the reasons why I quit going to college, if I'm being honest. And I've played pretty much every expansion since. I might not have played the full time, but I've definitely played a lot. I won't talk about how many hours I put in the game.
Of us want to talk about how many hours we put into the game. I mean, I think that's almost any with WoW players. It's either they brag about how long they played the game, or they just don't want it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. You got two people, the dedicated people who have been there from the beginning, and the other guys that are like, I'm going to be world first, and or the best PvPer ever.
Even I think because I never got into PvP. For reference, just so you know, um, I played since I think I started in vanilla when Encourage just went out. Is when I started. And it actually, there's a funny thing I wanted to bring up later, so I just want to make sure I take a note of that. But and you also mentioned Shadowlands, so
Yep.
you mentioned that with the changes in Shadowlands, that's going to be very good for the community, and it's going to kind of help build it. How so? Especially for the non-WoW players or the who had never played WoW.
Well, for the people that have never played WoW, this is probably one of the best expansions to start because they have revamped the whole leveling system. So there's going to be a way more close knit tutorial type. They call it Exile's Reach. It's just like a starting zone, and it's very class specific of what you pick, and it gives you everything you need to know, like going forward. It's a really good job of being a tutorial for new players. Another thing is the big level squish. Right now, the numbers are very inflated, and they're rectifying that by scaling everybody back. And that's going to do two things. First, it's going to make leveling a lot faster because you don't have 120 levels you have to get. And secondly, it's going to make every level feel more valuable because you would go like 15 levels now and not get a single thing, not an ability upgrade, not a talent or nothing. And it feels daunting actually trying to tackle that, especially if you're a new player. It kind of deters you from that.
Yeah, especially as you said with the stats and with all the equipment, it's just we've gotten now from numbers that mean something to just absolutely ridiculous numbers for no like the scaling of it just makes no sense now. It's like they it makes sense to do the item squish because having what's high level gear now for high 300s to 400s,
Like 475, 480
so high
is
400.
like the top. Yeah.
Yeah. I know they've removed different stats, like expertise went away years ago.
Yeah,
But
they've tweaked a lot of the stats and like changed them around a few times, but the big thing is like the numbers are still inflated. They just cut zeros off, if that makes sense. Like you like an expansion before, you'd be doing millions of damage, and now you're doing like 10,000 damage, but your power level's still the same. They just cut zeros off, if that makes sense.
yeah, when you inflated stats so much when all you have to do to scale things back is remove a zero from the number.
Exactly.
Like you're
Yeah.
just going by a scale of 10 at that point, and I mean it's 10 levels. I get that, but um, that math just hit me too.
WoW is a numbers game too.
That's all it is.
I
It
think that's
really
why
is.
it gets you thinking. So I think that's why I get so drawn into it. I like intellectual type games that get you thinking a lot.
So, first question, just to get That's out of the way. Horde or Alliance?
Okay, so I've played both.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
I've
fair.
played both, but if I had to pick one, it would be Horde. Grew up Horde, played Horde for a long time. Obviously, Thrall is the best character in the game, so
Oh, well, he's up there. I don't know if there.
in
It's
my
hard for
in
me to
my
say.
mind, Thrall is daddy. Okay, he always will be daddy.
He's always gonna be Big Green Daddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Thrall's definitely up there. It's funny because I had the same argument with a friend of mine over the weekend. Because I said that Thrall was one of the most was like number one, if not number two. Buddy of mine argued Sylvanas for a solid hour.
Oy. I'm not a Sylvanas fan at all, actually.
Either am I.
That's kind of what drove me to play Alliance this last expansion. That's one of the reasons. A lot of the other reason is I have real life friends that play Alliance, and so I switched. But
See, I switched during. So I played Horde through Vanilla and Burning Crusade, and then I still had my Horde main in Wrath, but I also had an Alliance alt that I had, and that just it's funny seeing like how the even players that play Alliance and Horde just mentally operate differently in PvP. Like
yeah,
they're role playing and don't even realize it, even on non vanilla servers.
that's very true. Yeah,
And it's funny because like when you meet someone else that's a WoW player, you can almost immediately tell which side they're on too.
that's true too. Yeah.
All right, so Horde or Alliance, we have primarily Horde. Favorite race and class to build?
Okay, so this is where I contradict myself, right? My favorite class in the game is Paladin, hands down. I've been playing Paladin since Burning Crusades. Um,
I feel like I know where this is going.
Obviously, I played Horde in Vanilla. I played a Warrior, but as soon as Burning Crusades dropped and Paladins came to the Horde, I was the second Paladin to level 70 on my server. So I've always had a special place in my heart. Probably it comes from D&D, probably, but a Paladin has always been kind of like my go-to class and character. Um, as far as race goes, uh, my favorite race in the game is goblins.
That is not what I thought you were going to say. All right, that is.
I don't know
I
what it
was
is.
way off.
I don't know what it is about goblins. They're they're small and they're wheelers and they're dealers and I don't know. I like goblins. I like goblins.
The way you were leading up to that, I thought you were going to say Draenei.
Oh, ew, no. The space goats? No,
Oh come
I'm
on,
not a
you
fan
don't
of
like
those.
space goats. So
No.
so when I switched when I had my Alliance character that I actually played for a decent amount of time, was a Draenei shaman.
Yeah. This is probably the same story. Alliance first shaman, so
Yeah, yeah. So my main right now is a priest, and I very much enjoyed playing as a priest, and healing as well. But my favorite class, for I know because for vanilla I started playing as a druid. I started as a druid, and when Burning Crusade came out, I switched to paladin, and I haven't switched back. I loved it. I love both tanking, healing, the support
yeah.
roles. So I went right to that. So class definitely paladin. In terms of favorite race to make, I gotta say blood elf.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I think it was just because I was so attached to my paladin that I think I just stuck with the blood elves. I think I have maybe only one character that's not a B elf.
I mean, blood elves. I really like blood elves too. I like their character models. I think they're like the pretty of the horde. You know, they're the only people on the horde that are pretty. Um,
Which I mean makes sense for me then if I'm gonna have one.
that's true. uh, I would say a second close or a close second class for me is druid. Also, I like the versatility of a druid. They're not like great at anything, but they can fill everything. You know.
And having the option of either transforming into a bear or a thunder chicken
Yeah.
is definitely a nice bit of
Yeah.
personality.
Some of the new editions of the Allied races are really cool too. Like my second favorite class in the game, or favorite race in the game, is dwarf, which is also weird, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I usually make dwarves when I play D&D, so I mean, that's
yeah.
for me that's pretty normal. Even though the dwarf that I have now, I'm like, I don't know if I like him or not. It's I don't know. Fifth edition paladins are just so broken.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I've been playing I'm a fallen Asimarian paladin in one of my campaigns. Yeah, it's interesting.
I went.
And man, they can hit like a truck.
I just went simple and went hill dwarf paladin done.
Yeah.
Hill dwarf paladin can't die. Basically, that's all it was. You mentioned again, kind of with kind of Shadowlands, and we've kind of touched on it all around with WoW, kind of where it is now. You know, looking at the past and looking at what Shadowland can be. Are you hopeful for the future of WoW, or kind of cautious about it? And that's also taking into consideration, the moves of Blizzard and Activision.
Yeah. I think that every true WoW player is always a little hesitant for the new expansions. Um, I could tell you right now that I haven't felt this excited about an expansion in a long time. And I think it's simply because the developers are portraying that they're listening to the community. And I feel like if they're truly listening to the community and the community can pull together and get the stuff and implement the changes that WoW really needs, I think that it could be great. And I see that with a lot of the changes that they're making so far, like a lot of the RNG, like just basically randomness of gear drops and stuff like that is going away. The endless grinding for no reason, like AP or artifact power.
Yeah, no, that
That
was.
those kind of endless grinds are going away, which is really great to hear. I don't know, it really feels like they're listening to the community, and I think that it's something that they've taken for granted for a long time, and they feel that they feel the pressure of losing their community if they don't come through. So
Yeah, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it goes in cycles, though. Like if you look at the expansions going forward, from start to finish, like you can tell there had to be an obvious shift. Like you have vanilla, which was what it was what began it all. Burning Crusade was strong. Wrath of the Lich King was, in my opinion, I think the strongest. I know that's argued
yeah,
quite a bit, but I think
that's
Wrath.
still one of my favorites. Yeah,
Straight to after
you
Wrath,
got Cataclysm.
Cataclysm, which was absolute garbage.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't say that it was absolute garbage because that's when they introduced the goblins, and obviously I'm a goblin at
but, but,
heart, so
but I mean, playable the goblins, yeah, but the
yeah,
goblins have been in the game for a while though,
that's true. Playable goblins, so we'll
yeah.
say that.
And I rated very heavy during Kata, and I I can't explain the feeling when we did Dragon Soul, and it ended when it did,
Yeah.
and I just took my hands off my keyboard. I'm like, that's it.
I think a lot of people felt the same way about the end of this expansion.
Well, it's
The N'Zoth fight left a lot of people unhappy. Well, just the end. I would say the end of the expansion left a lot of
well,
people unhappy.
well, yeah, because they and here's kind of the comparison I was going to strike was BFA was just Kata. What 6 years later? I feel like it felt like a carbon copy of Kata.
I mean, I could see that. Yeah, I do believe there's kind of like cycles, and I'm sure it has to do with development teams and stuff like that. But I think it's more along the lines of the community, and even then, like the community shifts their thoughts a lot too. So even if Blizzard's listening 100%, you can't. I don't know. It's tricky, and that's why I don't work for Blizzard. That's why I'm not developing World of Warcraft because I would not want to be in their shoes
Oh God,
when
no.
you take the
Well,
heat.
I could only imagine just the pressure of making Diablo 4, just make sure it wasn't like the fiasco that Diablo 3 was when it launched. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we don't know that either. We can only hope that that's what they have in mind as well. So hopefully we get a great expansion coming in WoW and great new Diablo and great
Just a
Overwatch 2.
just a great year for Blizzard altogether. That's what I'm
That would
hoping
be.
for. They could use
Um,
it.
they absolutely can. All right, favorite raid
Favorite raid. Hmm.
overall. You have to pick a number one overall raid.
I would say
How about this? I'm actually gonna change this one a bit. I'm sorry.
okay.
A number one that's not Karazhan.
Well, okay, that's fine. Because I was gonna say my number one is actually from this expansion, and that's the Battle for Dazar lore. That is like one of the most unique raids that I've ever experienced. Like, and they nailed it. That's the one thing that they got right in this expansion was the raids. I think the raids were spot on. I enjoyed every aspect of most of them. I would say that Najatar wasn't that great. The Eternal Palace. I wasn't a huge fan of that one, but the other three, they were great. And Dazar Lore is probably my favorite raid of WoW currently, or
Really?
overall. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, I can definitely respect that. I said no Karazhan because like so many people I know that play WoW or that raid, their number one is Karazhan. I mean, Karazhan's a great raid, but I don't think it's number one.
it was number one for me for a long time.
You
But
know,
yeah,
it
it's
was.
just that's another one that's really unique and different, you know. So I think that because you had the chess game that was cool, and then you had
Yep.
some of the boss fights were very well fleshed out, and
The stage play
yeah,
as well.
yeah, oh, yeah, that
That
was great
whole
too.
concept was the fact that it's a totally random
Yeah,
boss.
every week it was something different. Well, a pattern of difference, but yeah,
I would have to say my favorite raid. I would have to go ICC.
that's another good one too. Yeah,
I felt ICC, before the others had the best variation. Had the mechanics where almost every boss fight was a mechanics fight. I think there was maybe only like two burn downs. That was it. Everything had its own wild mechanic you had to work.
I like that. I don't like burn down bosses or DPS checks is the better term for it, I think, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not a fan of those. I like the ones that are mechanically driven. Like, I don't know if you ever did Aldir in this new expansion, but
I did
Mother was a
not.
perfect example of that. Like, there was a pattern that you had to do, and then you had to move her in between different sections. And if you didn't hit the mark right at the right time, then the whole raid would wipe. You know, so it's like something like that. It's like I don't know. It was just really cool. And people might not like this, but I really enjoyed um, the revamped Naxxramas and Wrathful Lich King.
You know what? I didn't mind it either. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I did. I wouldn't say it was like the horrible thing people made it out to be for a while.
Yeah, I think that people were just mad because of the previous Naxxramas. They're like, oh, but that's Nax, you know? And other people were like, people don't like reused content for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's I don't know, it's different. I like the fact they brought Nax back because it made sense. I mean, firstly, canon wise, it just made complete sense.
Yeah.
And just from it allowed people that didn't play Nax when it was 40 man, when it was insanely difficult to get into, to be able to, you know, enjoy that. I think was big on Blizzard's part too.
Yeah, I think so. Some of the changes that Blizzard's made over the years that a lot of the people don't care about or complain about, I don't think were necessarily that bad. Like the group finder, a lot of people complain about that, but
Really?
I remember, I remember distinctly sitting in major cities, spamming for hours, trying to find one healer, hours for one healer, and it's just like, oh, no, I'm not mad about the group finder at all.
You mean you had to spam for a healer for ages? Really?
Yeah, like so like in vanilla, for example, there was no group finder. You just have to go to a major city and talk in like a looking for group chat or something like that. And you just spam it forever trying to find somebody to run a dungeon.
That's weird because I played a tank and a healer. I'd never had that problem.
Really?
Yeah, I've never.
Healers in vanilla were there was really good healers, and then people had no business being a healer.
Healing in vanilla was also way harder than it became.
Mana
So,
management. That's something that we haven't
oh
had in the
my
game
god.
for a long time.
No, not since Wrath.
Yeah,
Wrath was really the last expansion that mana management for any class was a thing. Because I think once it was once I know Paladins when they switched to their holy power thing that helped them a lot, and it was really Death Knights that started that I think with what's it called with their what's their
the
resource?
runic powder, the
Yes.
runic power. Yeah, there's a
Um,
lot of changes to the whole resource generation and spend period that I don't really agree with. But I'm remember in Wrath of the Lich King having like 200,000 mana, and I was like, oh man, I'll never run out of mana. Stuff like that.
Meanwhile, we can have like 100 mana and go into a raid, and we're good.
Yeah, you got like no mana left. I'll just go pull it. I'll drink. I'll be fine.
Shoot, now if they have 100 mana, they won't even go under 100 mana because they're using some other random resource to do it.
Very true. Yeah.
But hopefully that they tone back on that stuff in later pieces there. Aside from WoW, because WoW opened the door to so many MMOs out there, so many,
Yeah.
and Final Fantasy 14 is huge. That's a
Yep.
big one.
That's
Um,
probably the most direct competitor to WoW, I would
absolutely.
say. Yeah.
You have Eve Online, which still has a very strong, very dedicated community. Um,
Yeah.
and then you have
A lot of money in that game too.
yeah, a different reason there. Guild Wars. Guild Wars is still going. They have an
Hmm.
expansion coming out soon too.
I
And
actually just recently started playing Guild Wars 2 again.
really,
I've been enjoying it. Yeah.
I've been thinking about getting back into it. I like the combat and how they worked it.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel like it was one of those things that was Guild Wars 2 was very easy to get into and very easy to like start playing without having to know like crazy rotations.
Yeah. Because you're limited on what you're using based on like weapon type and stuff like that. Guild Wars 2 does something different than most games, and they have like their PvP separate, and like if you make a character, you can just automatically go in PvP and it maxes you level wise and skill wise, and you can just pick and choose whatever you want. Like everybody's on an even playing field. So that's kind of different and cool. And Guild Wars has always been really big about PvP. So
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's the first one was founded. A lot of it, a lot of people loved the PvP.
it's like one of the first ones I remember watching, like live streams of like the original Guild Wars of like the 4v4s battles and stuff like that. Like an actual competitive match. Thought that was really interesting.
I see. I really didn't get into Guild Wars until a little bit toward the end of Guild Wars One because I was still playing WoW all the time. I was raiding in WoW and I was um, doing all that there. So I didn't
Yeah.
really. I started playing it in one and noticed but also a very approachable PvP as
Yeah.
well.
Easy
Um,
to understand, kind of.
oh, absolutely. But Guild Wars 2, I really enjoyed it, and I want to get back into it. But the one I really want to play probably the most, and I might play it over Shadowlands, is I might go back to FF14.
Yeah. I played I would say I played for about 6 months right before Shadowbreakers came out. That's their newest expansion, right? Shadowbreakers.
Um, that was the last one, I believe.
Yeah, I played right before that came out. The one thing I really liked about Final Fantasy 14 is the fact that you could change your class whenever you wanted to, but your character stayed the same. Like you didn't have to remake a new character and pick a class or anything like that. You could just change your job, is what they call it, on the fly whenever you wanted to.
Right. Which is, I know, a huge element in a lot of the Final Fantasy games was the job system, and
Yeah.
the fact they brought that to this game, to the Realm Reborn, I think was a brilliant move to really set them apart and how they can take a player can take ownership in their character's growth because it feels like they are actually learning a new skill and they're growing that way.
Yeah, and just how involved each job is too. I became really attached to my character, and one of the things I really enjoyed to do was to go to the different places and go fishing. And I had like all my fishing gear, like I had a vest on and my little fly fishing hat and everything, and I would go sit down and I would take screenshots. Their ambiance in that game is just beautiful. Like their settings are just amazing and gorgeous. So I would just like find a nice peaceful little stream and I'd sit down and fish for like an hour. And just that's just something I really love to do in that game.
I could never, I could never do the fishing in those games. I can't do it in that. I can't fish in real life. I'm terrible at it. I went camping this weekend, and I'm glad no fishing occurred. That was great. So, real quick, just to switch off from there, something I kind of want to do with everyone that comes on. So, real quick, actually, before I even go to that, so so our producer, Proven, just messaged me on the side. Wait, you can't fish? No, I can't fish.
Oh no.
So here's okay. So here's the whole. Here's what happens when Biscuit goes fishing. So I've gone fishing many times. I've gone, and I've done everything. I've whether I went fly fishing once. I went uh, fishing for striper off the coast before. Ponds, whole 9 yards. Do everything you're supposed to. Baited my hook right. Everything's on right. I'm not going to use just non-fisherman terminology. That, as far as I can tell, I'm reeling it in or pulling it in or whatever in. I'm trying to get it in the way that I would think a fish would look, but it doesn't. And I have never caught anything in my life.
Fishing takes time and dedication and patience. Lots of patience.
I'm sorry, I can't. If you can't tell, I really don't like fishing.
Not everybody does. I don't think that's a bad thing though.
No, I think I'm just more frustrated over the fact that as much as I've tried and as dumb as I've tried, I can't catch a darn thing. It's bugging me. All right, getting a little bit toward the end here, so something I kind of wanted to do with everybody from here on, with some like kind of quick rapid fire questions. Favorite game of all time?
Oh, this isn't a rapid fire.
This is.
Um,
You gotta
I
pick
guess
one.
I'd say WoW.
Okay. What was your first video game you've ever played?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Sega Genesis.
Game most likely to make you throw a controller.
Right now, Fall Guys.
Have you gotten a crown yet?
No,
Yeah, neither have
I came close a lot,
I.
but
So have I. So many times I had to walk away from my computer for a few minutes.
yeah, that game's tough, and it really boils my blood.
I. It's like when you have to start giving yourself pep talks midway. Favorite video game series?
This is a toss-up between Final Fantasy and Mega Man.
Ooh, okay. Mega Man regular or Mega Man X?
I would include both of them.
Okay, that's fair. Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo?
I'll say Nintendo. It's always been a staple in my life.
All right. And last but not least, what's one game that you've really wanted to play that you never got a chance to?
Um, I'd
Think
say the
hard.
Persona games. I haven't played any of the Persona games, and it's something that I've always wanted to get around to, but I haven't.
Okay. No, fair enough. I can respect that. I mean, I've played the hell out of most of them, so awesome, cool. So, last but not least, anything you want everyone at the org to know about you, any last message you want to give to them, or anything else you wanted to say?
Thank you for putting your trust in me to help you with your technical issues. This community has grown way faster than I could ever imagine, and I've enjoyed every second of it. I feel safe and at home here. I think that's big. Like, not many people know, but I was in the military for a long time, and when I got out, I kind of had a hole, like a sense of purpose that I've lost. No ego kind of helped fill that hole a little bit. So I'm thankful for everybody and the team that we have, everybody's hard work, and I want to see us succeed.
I definitely appreciate working with you all the time, and you're a good guy. And I'm not just saying that because you're one of my bosses.
No, I really appreciate everything you do, Biscuit. You're killing it. I couldn't ask for somebody better.
Nah, I'm just doing my stuff. But anyway, again, I want to thank everyone for listening in, for being here with us on our third episode of the podcast. Our next episode, as I mentioned, will be Rev, the final owner of No Ego. So definitely look out for that. But until then, hope Hope you guys have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, night, whatever time of day it is that you're listening to this.
Thanks for watching No Ego. Like, comment, and subscribe with the bell notifications on to never miss another No Ego upload. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Twitch at NoEgoGG, and we'd love to see you in our Discord at discord.gg/NoEgoGaming, where you can catch up on all of our updates and chat with your favorite streamers and members.